One step at a time. Let's get her back up and running. All right. Meanwhile, then we try to lose the phone connection. Ready to connect? We'll do that. And while we connect, let me jump over. We were talking, how many jobs do you think right now are being occupied by individuals not legally in the country? Well, Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents announced the arrest of more than 1,000 illegal workers and say they've uncovered sufficient evidence of immigration employment violations to justify the proposal of $1 million during the first 100 days of the Trump administration. Robert Hammer, ICE's Homeland Security Investigations acting executive director, said this is the highest rate of arrests in their history. I've mentioned over the years, and when I worked doing the morning show there in Dalton, Georgia, for a handful of years. Dalton at the time was known as the carpet capital of the world. I think that may have been snagged by China now, but nonetheless, there was a continuous growing population of Hispanics coming into the community. There were some chicken facilities there. So I think, was it ConAgra? I can't remember. One of which was right around the corner from the radio station. But Homeland Security would roll into town on occasion. And they'd come rolling into the North Georgia Convention Center, staging buses. And, of course, word begins to spread like wildfire around town. ICE is in town. And when they'd go into some of these carpet manufacturing facilities, people would literally be jumping out the windows, going out the back door, running like hell. They were rounding them up. And they may work their way from Dalton on up toward, I think sometimes they'd make their up to Cleveland, Tennessee. Those were workforce actions. That all ended under the previous administration. Worksite enforcement completely stopped under the direction of then Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. There was a memorandum, October of 21, ordering ICE to cease large-scale immigration worksite enforcement raids. Pretty much saying to employers, feel free to employ people that you're not legally allowed to hire. And that's been going on since then. That ended when Trump took office. Mayorkas actually criticized the use of raids of an enforcement tool, saying the deployment of mass worksite operations, sometimes resulting in the simultaneous arrest of hundreds of workers, was not focused on the most pernicious aspect of our country's unauthorized employment challenge, exploitative employers. He went on to say these highly visible operations misallocated enforcement resources while chilling and even serving as a tool of retaliation for worker cooperation in workplace standards investigations. We're not talking raids out in the fields, picking produce or fruit and things of that. These jobs at whether it was a Shaw or a Mohawk, the carpet facilities, those were good paying jobs. I remember leadership there in Dalton. This is going back 20 some years ago. They were trying to increase the minimum age to hire workers, because sometimes someone that's 17 years old might get a job at the carpet mill and they plan to stick around, trying to say, well, why don't you address maybe a future with a better job than just working in the carpet mill? So they were good paying jobs. But in the past 2 months, under Trump's second term, those raids have now resumed around the country, resulting in the arrest of 1,000 unauthorized workers And now they are actually levying fines and actually the seizure of properties and bank accounts. According to the ICE Detroit acting special agent in charge, Jared Murphy, a civil complaint filed by ICE and the IRS against a Chinese money laundering organization has actually ordered the multi-million-dollar seizure of 14 properties, 7 bank accounts, and 15 vehicles. Murphy says ICE and the IRS Criminal Investigative Division investigated the case in which we allege the money laundering organization operated a staffing company to actually supply these illegal workers to a factory in Ohio and harbored that illegal workforce. Under federal law, employers are required to verify and identify and employment eligibility of applicants they hire. The information applicants provide to document their identification is recorded in an employment eligibility verification form known as an I-9. As part of their compliance, ICE employs an I-9 inspection program to address and deter illegal employment. This is what you call employers exploiting people illegally in the country. They're paying them pennies on the dollar. Now, penalties for employing illegal alien workers can range from civil fines to criminal charges in instances involving engaging in a pattern of hiring illegal workers. The current administration is employing a whole of government approach to get back to enforcing our labor laws, deploying several federal law enforcement agencies to carry out these enforcement actions. In some cases, state and local law enforcement authorities are working in unison with the federal effort to stem the employment of illegal aliens and then holding those employers accountable for their unlawful activity. These are occurring throughout the United States, according to ICE. Last month, they conducted one such action in support of an investigation into the illegal hiring of unauthorized workers by contractors working on a construction project at the port of Lake Charles, Louisiana. In that multi-agency operation, 11 illegal workers were arrested, aliens from Mexico, Nicaragua, Ecuador. All right, in February, another worksite enforcement action resulted in the arrest of 16 workers found at a CBP bonded import warehouse in New Jersey. That's Customs and Border Protection bonded warehouse. ICE, Customs and Border Protection, the DEA, the FBI, ATF agents all involved there. But getting back to where it should be when it comes to enforcing the employment laws in this country. Senor Heatwave, I presume.
Hey. Oh, I tell you what, when you come out here in Wyoming, you just don't know what kind of cell service you're going to get. You know you're going to get poor there at the state line of Nevada. State line, Utah. And on the eastern side of the state, so I don't know what their issue is, but I sure hope they get it fixed. Well, let's see here. That NASCAR race that's happening in Talladega, you say?
Yes.
Is that a restrictor plate race, or is that just full bore wide open?
That's restrictor plate, 2.66 miles restrictor. That's why they're just like Daytona. They're all bunched, 40 in a group. You got to stay in the you can't lose the draft and all that. Got to stick together.
Well, I guess that just means everybody's watching it for the accidents, because that's what's going to happen.
Will the
Someone's going to flub up.
When does the big one occur? On lap number 1, or on beginning stage number 2. They regroup time and time again. You know what's happening, and obviously when you get down to 5 laps to go, somewhere in there, there's going to be another one.
Yep. Someone's going to get a wild hair, and they're going to pull that trigger, and
bingo.
It's either going to be one car or 50 of them, even though there's 40. Well, wouldn't that be something? Finish with a deficit? Nobody won. Oh, hell. Well, I'll tell you what, as far as anything with Texas A&M involved, now I've said it before on this radio broadcast, A&M should not be ranked at all, period, until they actually beat stronger teams. Yeah, they can whip up on the Sisters of the Poor, and make a good showing there, or, a junior college football team, or basketball or baseball or whatever, until at least the men's sports can actually prove that they are a worthwhile, that they can hold their own and actually win games that they need to win. Don't even rank them. I could care less. I'm not a graduate, but I am a fan. So, there you go. Oh, well, what else is going on? Well, they had that one idiot that defaced Trump Tower with green spray paint, and he just sat down and was looking rather pleased with himself. Until I guess security come there and picked him up. These people on the left, they're wrong in their actions, and they just cannot see how wrong they are. They don't think that the people on the right are wrong. They believe we, the right, are evil, and that they have a moral obligation to, spew their nonsense, trying to prove a point, which is pointless because they have no point.
Mm.
And, then that one idiot that's running for, I guess, mayor of New York City, he was somewhere and he was yelling at Tom Holman, about the First Amendment. Are you afraid of the First Amendment? Are you afraid? It's like, he ain't afraid of the First Amendment. He's letting you yell. But I think the law enforcement people that were there to keep them separated, I think they deserve a damn medal and a raise, because they're right in the middle of this, and they were holding that DA, and that's what we'll call him. We'll call him a DA, holding him back. It's like, and you people in New York City really want to vote for this guy to be mayor? Oh, good night. So, anyways, I was surprised yesterday morning when I got into Salt Lake City. There was another Estes driver that drove up behind, and he parked next to me where we drop our trailers. And I just, as I was doing the post trip, I looked over and said, "Hey, good morning." And he said, "Are you one of those cartoon characters?" And I said, "Maybe." And he says, "You're the Heat Wave, right?" I says, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, well, I was listening to you this morning." So he's behind me somewhere here on 80. We're both going to Denver. And he says he's a long-time listener of you. And he just, like a lot of people, he just kind of hesitant to call.
Like so many out there, just pick up the phone and dial that number. It's not that difficult, is it?
I said, it's just a phone call between you and Steve, and there's a bunch of eavesdroppers, about a couple thousand, 100.
Right.
How many people do you actually have either listening to you live or listening to the replays?
There are thousands and thousands.
Well, there you go. So I asked him, I said, "Well, why don't you call?" He said, do you sound funny?" I said, "You've heard me talk on the radio, and I don't think there's anyone else out there that sounds as funny as I do." So you just, just a little nervous. And I said, for that gift certificate of of the Hot Shot secret product,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, go ahead and call. What the hey? Just say, hey, I'm a driver for Estes. Where's my stuff? You know. so anyways, yeah. I kind of hope the company sends me to Salt Lake City one more time, and then down to Albuquerque. I think I'd have a pretty good week with at least 2,700 miles. It's just, freight's just still real slow out here, and normally it would be picking up right about this time, or so. In the 30 years I've been driving, it seemed like, at the end of April, 1st of May, for sure, we'd be seeing
things would start kicking again, right?
Some increase.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it hasn't. But yeah, my father-in-law is going to be celebrating his 80th birthday here in Albuquerque. We're going to be going to the El Pinto restaurant, and that is a family restaurant. Been there forever. And he used to drive for ABF in Albuquerque, and he went by the handle of Kodiak. So he's one of his sons is coming in. He's an Iraqi war vet, and so he's coming down for his birthday, and a few other family members coming down, and we're just going to sit down there and grab ourselves some good Mexican grub. And, then I got word yesterday or day before, whenever it was, that we'll be running starting Monday with the team. They just don't know if we're going to be leaving early morning or in the evening time. So if we leave in the evening time, I'll be the one driving. So kind of like what I had with Thomas there when we were with Yellow. He drive during the day and I drive at night. Well, I don't mind driving at night.
So is that do you get to pick and choose with your co-driver? Do you like if he says I'd rather drive days, you say okay, that's fine, I'll drive nights, or vice versa, kind of thing?
Yeah. That's and most of my career I've been driving at night, so it's like. Well, I mean, there's less idiots on the highway to deal with. Yeah, it's a little more treacherous during the wintertime because, you black ice on there and, whatnot. But, yeah, I mean, I can sleep during the day. It's not a big deal. It's what I do at the motels right now. And then with him driving during the day, well, I'll have a bed that's jumping up and down and hearing that white noise, and that's not going to be a problem. So... yeah, I actually prefer to drive at night, and but by the way, it keeps me in touch with the base out here as far as friends of the radio, and I had talked to Vic earlier today. In fact, he called me. He said he was cleaning out his cell phone of numbers that he don't know who they belong to or what they belong to,
right.
But he's seen me up there, and he was telling me about the same thing about the three different options Trump has. And I told him at the end of the phone call, I says, Vic, it's always a pleasure talking, and I said, well, let me amend that, listening to you, because as we say, you are a walking encyclopedia. And he chuckled a little bit and said, well, after the surgeries I've had on my hand, he says, I'm probably missing a few pages out of the encyclopedial memory, but he's just really a pleasure to talk to, and hell, I wouldn't mind sitting out on the front porch just listening to him, drinking the iced tea, and hearing about his experiences that he's had over the years. And like you said, when you're 81 years old, you got a lifetime of experience to expand upon. So, but, yeah. So, anyways, I'll go ahead and I'll let you go because I'm sure you probably got someone else that wants to holler at you. So you have yourself a good night.
All right, we
We'll
are.
holler at you tomorrow.
Thank you much there. We are rolling toward news break, but actually we've got clear lines. So, yeah, hold that thought. It's 844-844-3388. I guess they say you learn by experience, right? But this is not the way you want to learn. A semi hauling lumber overturning on his first trip down the winding mountain road in Northern California Tuesday. A little after 6 in the evening, near the Pulga Bridge in Pulga, California, the driver was hauling lumber, his first trip down this road, overturning, spilling the load of lumber across the roadway. The truck ultimately coming to a stop upside down. The unnamed driver was not hurt. A local passing through the area, was able to report the crash and call 911 using Starlink satellite connection because there is no cell phone or internet service available in this area. About an hour later, Caltrans had ordered a full closure of State Route 70 from Butte County through Caltrans Station 97 to allow the clearing of the wreck. So skid marks leading to the crash site. Truck driver admitted it was his first trip down State Route 70, which is a 2-lane highway winding along steep cliffs bordering the Feather River there.
USA Radio News, I'm Anthony Lucero. President Trump says Ukrainian President Zelensky is making it difficult to settle the war with Russia.
Trump said Zelensky, saying in the Wall Street Journal that Ukraine won't recognize Russian occupation of Crimea is harmful to peace negotiations. The president questioned why Ukraine didn't fight for the region 11 years ago when Russia took control with no shots fired. I'm Lisa Taylor.
Vice President J.D. Vance says the U.S. and India have come to terms on a roadmap for a final agreement on trade.
Vance said President Trump is being criticized for starting a trade war to bring jobs back from the past, but that nothing could be further from the truth.
He seeks to rebalance global trade so that America, with friends like India, can build a future worth having for all of our people together.
Vance's visit comes after the U.S. hit India with a 26% reciprocal tariff on its goods, but those import taxes have been suspended for 90 days. I'm Mark Mayfield.
From America's News Network, USA Radio News.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you for listening to this radio show. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. For nearly 40 years, Carl Amari has been licensing the rights to classic radio shows, including Suspense, Jack Benny, Gunsmoke, My Favorite Husband, Dragnet, The Lone Ranger, and many more. Today, Carl has over 100,000 classic radio shows, and because he works with the owners and estates, they provide the master recordings, which are superior sound quality. 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
excessive black smoke.
Excessive black smoke has 2 causes: carbon buildup and internal diesel injector deposits, also known as IDIDs. Carbon buildup obstructs the fuel spray. IDIDs are varnish inside the injector that alters ideal injector timing. Both of these cause reduced engine efficiency, leaving unburnt fuel to generate black smoke. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will remove carbon buildup and improve efficiency. Diesel Extreme has the highest concentration of active ingredients allowed by law and will safely remove all types of injector deposits, including IDIDs, eliminating black smoke. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes a cetane improver, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Doc's Diesel is your one-stop online shop for diesel filter maintenance. Genuine quality, third-party tested filters for Cummins, PowerStroke, Duramax, and EcoDiesel trucks. Doc's cuts out the middleman and those pesky markups you often find from OMEs, dealerships, and parts stores. We make ordering easy with filter kits, subscriptions, and even dealer sign-ups if you have a fleet. Purchase your filters at www.docsdiesel.com and receive 10% off when you use code SOMMERS10. Doc's Diesel, your one-stop shop for diesel maintenance.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
turbocharger spool time.
Turbochargers force compressed air into the combustion chamber where temperatures can reach 400 degrees. The oil surrounding the bearings will burn, leaving behind a sticky residue called stiction. Hot Shot Secret's Stiction Eliminator cleans the turbo bearings, building maximum boost sooner.
Available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
For anything diesel, take it to Scheid Diesel. They provide a wide variety of services and diagnostics to determine what the problem is with the latest technology. From simple oil changes and preventative maintenance to fuel system diagnostics and repairs, engine rebuilds and cylinder head repairs, and rebuilds with our in-house machine shop. They also have on-site DPF cleaning for exhaust issues and DOT inspections. If your diesel is asking for some attention, Scheid Diesel has the specialist you need for anything diesel. Located in Terre Haute and Lafayette, Indiana, and Effingham, Illinois, Scheid Diesel has you covered.
Do you have a Dodge pickup and hate your automatic transmission? Of course you do. Levon Miller at Firepunk Diesel here, and we specialize in heavy-duty and performance transmissions for your 3-quarter or 1-ton Cummins powered truck. So if you're interested in turning your stock slush box into a towing monster, call us today at 614-733-3744 or visit us online at shop.firepunk.com.
We know you'd like to be cuddled up real tight with a sweet little thing all night. But instead, you've got Steve Sommers. It's the Overnight Drive.
The dog days of summer bring the horsepower in Region 2. In Region 3, the quest for titles starts in Kurdtown, and you can enter to win a VIP pass to all the championship pulling you can handle. From National Tractor Pullers Association headquarters in Marion, Ohio, this is the NTPA Overnight Radio Report. Let's continue with the second half of the Steiner Tractor Parts Region 2 schedule. August's first weekend is stacked. Eaton, Ohio's Randy Petro Memorial at the Pueblo County Fair on Friday the 1st. Urbana, Ohio's Champaign County Fair Pull on Saturday the 2nd. And Lisbon, Ohio's Columbiana County Fair Pull with sessions on both nights. Coldwater, Michigan's Branch County Fair Pull owns Wednesday, August 6th, while Sandusky, Ohio's Erie County Fair Pull and Jackson, Michigan's County Fair Pull split Friday the 8th. Then on Sunday the 10th, Zanesville, Ohio's Muskingum County Fair Pull follows the opening day parade. Marion Springs Youth Fair Pull on Monday the 11th and Norwalk, Ohio's Huron County Fair Pull on Tuesday the 12th precede a well-earned break for the festivities at Bowling Green, Ohio. But the trail resumes on Tuesday, August 19th with a Great Dark County Fair Pull in Greenville, Ohio. Wauseon, Ohio's Tri-State Showdown on Friday the 29th, and a new pull at the Amishville USA Campground on Saturday the 30th in Geneva, Indiana, set the sun on a hot month of August. The final two qualifiers ahead of the 2025 Enderley Pull-Off are Roanoke, Indiana's Thunder in the Park on Friday, September 5th, and the next night at the Lions Club in Linden, Indiana. But the championship season rolls on into Michigan for a 3-event span. Allegan's County Fair Pull on Tuesday the 9th, Centerville, Michigan's St. Joseph County Fair Pull on Friday and Saturday, the 19th and 20th, and Hillsdale, Michigan's County Fair Pull on Sunday the 21st, a week earlier than in years past. And Region 2 at last reaches its denouement on Monday, October 6th at the Fairfield County Fair Pull in Lancaster, Ohio. Steiner Tractor Parts Region 3 commences as it always does at the Pierce County Fairgrounds for the Showdown in Kurdtown at Ellsworth, Wisconsin on Saturday, June 7th. Several tractor classes pull in Toma before the end of the month, but the regional event slate resumes in Lancaster, Wisconsin for the Full Throttle Shootout on Saturday, July 5th. Next, it's 3 straight nights of pulling with Decorah, Iowa's Winneshiek County Fair Pull on Thursday the 10th, Eagle Grove, Iowa's Wright County Fair Pull on Friday the 11th, and River Falls, Wisconsin Smoke and Thunder by the Kinney on Saturday the 12th. 2 weekends later, it's not only 3 nights of showdowns, it's 3 nights of hoedowns. Anoka, Minnesota is first with the Bob FM Honky Tonk Hoedown on Thursday and Friday, July 24th and 25th. And then Houston's Throwdown at Hoedown takes over the Fest grounds on Saturday the 26th to mark Minnesota's final national poll in 2025. Also on the 26th, the Dunn County Fair Poll will rock Recreation Park in Menominee, Wisconsin. And in August, Norwalk, Wisconsin will continue a 5+ decade-long tradition in Village Park with Lions Club Poll on Saturday the 9th. On Friday the 15th, a new tradition begins in Wilmot, Wisconsin with the Kenosha County Fair Poll. Wyowega, Wisconsin goes next on Sunday the 24th for a 1 p.m. matinee at the Waupaca County Fair. And Ridgeland, Wisconsin's Eldon Lure Field hosts the Region 3 wrap-up in the waning hours of August on Sunday, the 31st. You can discover or rediscover each and every one of these events, both at ntpapull.com and on the NTPA mobile app, available now at Google Play and Apple App Stores. We hope you'll join us next week for a tour of member state events and this summer for the best season of championship pulling yet. To incentivize, locate the NTPA VIP contest page at ntpapull.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel. While you're there, you can enter to win one of 10 all-access passes to any and every NTPA national event. Reporting for the NTPA on the Overnight Drive, I'm John Dunlap. Stay safe and pull hard.
All right, back at it here. Thank you, Mr. Dunlap. Now we're up to speed. And Senior Heatwave was mentioning just pick up the phone and dial the show. Yeah, Roy said, he says, it's too one-sided. He feels like we're too lopsided, one-sided. To which Gerald said, no, people can call in, talk about anything under the stars. He said, I'd like to hear more of the ladies out there. Eskimo Mom and Always Moving. I always enjoy hearing them when they dial up the show. Yeah, we do hear from Sunshine every now and again. One of our more newer female callers. Baby Bear. She was one of my favorite callers years ago. I heard from her via email a couple months ago. She subsequently has retired. She's not out there driving with us anymore. Gerald says, haven't heard Spaceman in quite a while. He is still out there driving, but he's driving for UPS now. He was smart enough to exit the Yellow Corporation before the proverbial shish kebab hit the fan, and he would have lost his job. He saw the handwriting on the wall, but he gets on this. He's still driving nights, but he gets on a phone chat line thing, and him and the fellow drivers. So every once in a while, he might pop in and say, hey. But yeah, I'm not sure how much he actually even listens anymore. Let's see. Yes, and I recall Hayden, a.k.a. Minister. He was a regular for years. I think he's even called the Overnight Drive. Did we finally have a blowout to end his calling in? Well, the blowout was he actually passed away about 6 months ago, Gerald. Uber Ed was the one that kind of notified us. He was still driving truck. Yes, he would still call in time and again, but he was kind of found slumped over the wheel there in Little Rock, Arkansas. So he's no longer with us. So many things change, right? Well, speaking of changes, we were talking earlier about there's a lot of legislation changing environmental regulations, many of which are impacting and will subsequently impact the trucking industry. Several items that our friends over, it was via The Trucker this past day. Can't remember who was the contributing editor there who wrote this all up, kind of breaking it down for us. But first of all, looking to repeal the emission standards. This is on the legislative side. The Transportation Freedom Act was introduced in the Senate on February 25th. Senator Bernie Moreno of Ohio immediately referred to the Committee on Finance. This is a bill that calls for the repeal of emission standards for light and medium-duty vehicles set to take effect in 2027. The repeal of the CHG standards for heavy-duty vehicles beginning in 2030, and the repeal of sections of the Clean Air Act. This bill also requires the EPA to issue new heavy-duty vehicle standards. Now, it was March 12th where the EPA announced a reconsideration of their Greenhouse Gas 3 rule that would phase in stronger greenhouse gas standards starting in 2027. As it stands right now, sleeper-equipped tractors would not be impacted by that rule until the year 2030. The requirement for sleeper-equipped tractors would be a 25% reduction in carbon dioxide emissions by model year 2032. It would require manufacturers of heavy trucks to track fleet averages for all vehicles sold to choose their own methods of reducing emissions. For example, selling more electric trucks, adding exhaust after-treatment systems, the use of maybe smaller engines, all things they could do to reduce emissions. If implemented, the new emission standards are expected to increase the price of a new truck by $30,000 or more. Now, sales of electric heavy-duty trucks would help bring down the fleet averages, but their limited range and lack of a viable charging infrastructure, plus their higher initial cost, makes selling them to an irregular route carrier a very difficult task. Another rule being reevaluated by the EPA is the 2027 requirement for nitrous oxide emissions, including both nitric oxide and nitrogen oxide, or dioxide, known as NOx emissions. Now, here's something that I was not familiar with. For many, many years, standard warranty on vehicles in many cases was 3 years, 30,000 miles, or you could buy an extended warranty. Some of the manufacturers have, in recent years, been offering 10 years, 100,000 miles, a much better warranty on the drivetrain components. But when it comes to these price increases, he explains the largest portion of vehicle price increases is going to come from lengthened vehicle warranties. The Environmental Protection Agency addressed the useful life of each vehicle sold in their NOx ruling, mandating that manufacturers extend the useful life of engines. Warranty periods for heavy-duty engines will increase to a 10-year period. Obviously, that will increase the manufacturing costs, primarily maintaining the equipment sold. In the long term, buyers who can expect more years of service from equipment they purchase may find any cost increases to be worth the investment, but a fleet of older trucks will not help recruit and retrain drivers. Another result of the higher new truck prices will be the increased competition for used trucks. That's going to drive up prices in that market as well. But that's the first I heard of mandating a 10-year warranty. Then you've got California's CARB, Advanced Clean Truck Rule, requiring manufacturers to include zero-emission vehicles in certain percentages of sales, which increases year over year. The ruling was 10% of sales by next year, 30% by the year 2030, 40% by 2032. While the type of zero-emission vehicle is not mandated, the current technology, only thing really available is going to be battery electric, fuel cell electric, and hydrogen combustion systems. Not viable for the vast majority of over-the-road trucking. Now, breakthroughs are being made all the time, but there is not yet an equivalent for a tractor with a diesel engine and a full fuel tank. We've been following the 10 other states that adopted that CARB Act for their jurisdictions, some of which are backing off now with these new things being looked at least postponing things for several years. The end of the story. There are, unfortunately, no clear answers to the confusion we have right now. The Trump administration says they're determined to mitigate potential harm to the industry, claiming that the current zero-emission vehicle technology has not kept pace with new regulations, placing undue harm and expense to the trucking industry. Environmentalists, on the other hand, are using the courts to try and delay and defeat every attempt to undo what they see as progress they had made under the Biden administration. Who wins may be determined one case at a time unless Congress pulls together to enact legislation establishing clear and achievable goals for the industry. In the meantime, the fight to replace diesel internal combustion engines with a cleaner power source is going to continue to rage on, with any revised rulings to be subject to further review when the next administration comes to power in Washington. This back and forth, who knows where the end will be. Well, good morning, Brother Rambler. How we doing?
Too lopsided, not us. Praise God, Steve. I'm doing wonderful. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be above ground. Of course, you know, the Bible does say absent from the body to be present with the Lord. So my body's in the ground. That means I'm with the Lord. And I know I'll be there eventually one day. But until that day comes, we're right here listening and talking to Steve Sommers live all over the world, Steve.
So how was your Easter break there, Rambler? You had a few days off, didn't you?
Man, we had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So, yeah, we had a good 5-day weekend. Didn't do too much of nothing. We had a good we had a pretty good Friday service. I got tongue-tied there. And, man, after we clicked stop, I went and looked at the numbers on Facebook Insights, and we had 422 right when I clicked stop. And then 2 days later, I checked it, so it's over 1,200, and I don't know what it is now, folks that we've reached and actually watched. So thank you, everyone, for supporting us over at Determined Ministries Church. We had a good Friday service, great message. And then come Sunday, we had a great, good Easter Resurrection Sunday. Of course, I put a picture out there of me and my mama on Facebook. My mom dyed her hair pink. Kids always get a kick out of that. So, oh Lord, we had a great time off, and it was well deserved, man. I was so burnt out. You know, it was well deserved. I hadn't had that much time off in a while, but we're going to be taking here coming up soon, May 6th, 7th, and 8th. That is Star Wars Dane is graduating high school, and we got to travel to Montgomery for that. And most folks will say, "Why you got to travel to Montgomery?" Well, because Dane, the last 4 years of his schooling was homeschooled. So in order for the kids to walk across the stage, you got to travel up to Montgomery to the Davis Coliseum up there, and that's where he'll be able to walk across the stage at. So we're very proud of Dane on getting his high school diploma, and wish my son all the best in the world on all his future endeavors that he plans on doing. And I know we got parents and grandparents who are listening, who their children are graduating, grandchildren, nieces and nephews. Congratulations for putting in the time and the effort of getting up when you didn't want to get up, making your kids get up, having a fight with them when they didn't want to get up, and making them go to school. And you know, this is your reward too for putting forth the effort on making sure your child got to school and making sure your child finished school. And my hats off to you, parents. Not only to your children and grandchildren, nieces and nephews, but also to you, aunts, uncles, godparents, grandparents, moms and dads. Congratulations to you. So, but see, we have been doing just fine, man. I tell you, we're just clicking right along here. O'Reilly Auto Parts, even though the tariffs are active or whatever they are, we're still booming. Our stock, I think last time I looked, was maybe up to $1,400 a share. So it drops some and it goes up some, but we're hanging right there with them.
Yep.
So glad to be, glad we're still doing good. Only thing I don't like is, man, they're starting to put too many rules in here. Like now, they done governed our trucks down to 65 miles an hour, and I don't like that. So, but it's something I have to deal with. After 20 years of doing 70 miles an hour, they finally got us down to 65. So, yeah, can you believe I've been here 20 years? 20 years
Wow.
delivering auto parts.
How about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably the insurance
Same
companies. Did they say why? Probably the insurance companies saying, all right, your rate's going to be this. If you reduce them down to 65, you'll get this rate, a better rate.
Well, that's what I thought until I found out that we are self-insured.
Oh, okay.
So that's what gets me, because I thought the same thing, just like with this lane assist. You know, we have them on here, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's the insurance companies. No, I recently found out at our last drivers meeting that this company is self-insured.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know why they do the things that they do and everything like that. But you mentioned our female drivers. Let's not forget about Dingbat. Let's not forget about Rhonda. And I hadn't heard from Rhonda in years.
It's
last
been quite
time
a
we
while.
heard anything. Well, if you remember, last time any of us, to my knowledge, heard anything from Rhonda, she was over at, and this ain't no laughing matter, she was at the Bozeman Testicle Festival. So
right. That's the Oyster Festival.
That's right. It's the mountain oysters.
Mountain oysters.
It's been several years since I've been out there in that part of the country, but I remember getting into Bozeman. They used to have a big old sign that had a well-endowed bull standing up and showed itself being well-endowed, and says Bozeman, home of the Testicle Festival. So that's the last time we heard anything from Rhonda.
Yeah.
Then we can't forget about everyone's favorite woman, and that's Miss Gilligan. Miss Gilligan calls in just about every night and does characters. Matter of fact, I heard that Miss Gilligan did a caricature of myself. At least he promoted our church. Praise God for that.
He gave it his best shot. He attempted, but of course he screwed it up on love is not just a 4-letter word.
Well, he might as well have said lust is just not a 4-letter word. You know how Miss Gilligan can act sometimes.
Yeah, right.
You know? And I know I saw a picture of him on Facebook. He was at some sort of beach, and I'm like, wow. I said, so that's what Gilligan looks like. I didn't know seals. I didn't know seals were on the East Coast, but I was wrong. I love him to death, man. Gilligan's really a pretty good person. And but anyway, Steve, I thank you for everything that you do. God, children, I thank you for supporting our church, Determined Ministries Church. We have service every Sunday evening at 5 o'clock Central. Steve, have you ever asked yourself, when Jesus lay dead in the tomb, he was still busy. Have you asked yourself what he did on day number 2 when his body lay dead, but yet the spirit was still alive? Have you ever asked yourself what he did and what he was doing? The Bible says that he was still busy. And see, we're going to tell what he was doing. We're going to come out of the book of 1 Peter and the book of Ephesians. And we're going to tell what Jesus Christ was actually doing on day number 2 of when he lay dead in the tomb. And the Lord has given me the directive that when the time is right, we're going to be talking about the 9 moving gifts of the Holy Spirit. So we're going to get into that here in the near future. All you need to do is just, if you feel like having church with us, come on and do it. Determined Ministries Church, live at 5 o'clock p.m. And that is Central Time. 6 o'clock if you're on the East Coast. That's right. And Steve, after every show, there's about a 3-4 hour delay, but there's another show that comes on. Can you tell us a little bit about that other show?
I'm thinking maybe the Steve Sommers Overnight Drive, right? The midnight hour, Sunday night into Monday, Eastern Time.
Eastern Time, and let's not forget, because we got grilling season coming up, and if you have grilling needs, like you need something to keep that drink cold, I advise you to go to overnightdriveradio.com. Find all your Steve Sommers needs. God's children, I got to go, but I leave you with this, and that is love, Love. love. Love is just not another four-letter word. It's something you have to do. It's something you have to enact. And if Jesus can love you, and he does, old Brother Rambler can love you, and I do. And, Steve, I will try and call in tomorrow. Good night. God bless. We'll talk to you later. Bye now.
All right, there you go. Brother Rambler, been thinking about him. Maybe tomorrow night, we'll have a little more time maybe, and we can get a little more details about that the little hockey incident there that I was kind of asking you about, being in the crease. Who's right and who's wrong? Meanwhile, that's where we leave it off here on a Thursday morning, the Steve Sommers Overnight Drive live from the Hot Shot Secret Studios.
You'll never guess the places that I've been. You never guess the places that I've been. 'Cause everything is like a dream, yeah, but only in that dream that I live in. I'm never gonna let the day begin. Never gonna let the day begin. 'Cause everything is like a dream, yeah, but only in that dream that I live in. Oh, don't wake me up before you go, and I'll just make this bed my own. Oh, darling, please just let me sleep. Give me my dreams. Above, 'cause everything looks better from above. Nothing's ever as it seems, yeah, except in that world that I dream of. Never gonna lose the ones I love. Never gonna lose the ones I love. 'Cause everything is like a dream, yeah, but only in that world that I dream of.